Hi. Happy, hopefully you're having a 3-day weekend for Martin Luther King Day tomorrow. In the meanwhile, I have another beer from Lonerider, and I had forgotten, and luckily I have a short memory retention these days, so I had forgotten that I hated the last Lonerider beer that I got. And I tried this, I had two of these cans, and I tried the first one, and I was like, this is weird. Then I decided I would give it another chance. So we'll see how this turns out. Anyway, so this is Lonerider, 2015, the beer with no name. It's a Belgian-style double. And so Lonerider is out of Raleigh, North Carolina. This is 8% alcohol by volume. And the range for this particular style, Belgian double style, is actually up to 7.6, so it's a little bit higher than we would be expecting out of a... So 6% to 7.6%. So it's a little bit higher than we would expect for a Belgian double. However, we will give it some poetic license because it does say Belgian style double. So that means that it's, you know, I don't know. They were inspired by Belgian doubles while making this beer. So we can give it some leeway. All right, so let's take a peek at this aroma. Very lagery, actually, up front. I'm going to give myself a beer mustache before I even take a drink. It's a little spicy and a little, like, caramelly malty. But really it smells a lot like a lager, so it has that... And I always blame it on the corn adjunct, like it has that very like corn sugar smell to it, but I'm not entirely certain that that is actually the smell, but more is just the combination of the yeast and the malts that are used and low hop and things like that. But anyway, that's it smells like a lager to me here. Almost like a like spicy fruity, like cinnamon apple, which I'm not necessarily hating. Anyway, but an interesting smell nonetheless. Very bright, and you know, it begs to be tried. So appearance-wise, it's a very dark, kind of coppery, light brown. I don't know. So it's a dark red ale or a lighter brown ale, and it looks like it does have maybe has some sediment, but it's definitely a little hazy. And bordering on actually opaque, which is interesting. And so it should pour with a big head, and I actually had to let it dissipate down just a little bit before I poured the rest of it, so that's on point. Flavor. This is very interesting, and it has a lot of stuff going on in it. I think the second can is better than the first can. I guess I have a bad first can experience with Lonerider, but nonetheless, it's malty and complex. It has some spice to it. It has some fruitiness to it. It has some sweetness to it. It has you know, what I usually find in like a Doppelbock category, even a Maibach, like this, no, Doppelbock more so, but has like this kind of fruity grapefruit, no, excuse me, this fruity like grape juice type of flavor to it, but done in a very interestingly complex way. So it's like the base almost, and then it has some spiciness, I think probably coming out of the yeast, some almost like apple sweetness. It does have like a very distinctly lager type of finish to it. So it's dry and crisp. I It almost reminds me of like an apple cider, um, but it's spicy. It's yeasty. It's definitely malty, and it does have a hoppy finish, like gosh, I really get that lager flavor in the finish, and it feels more like a what's that I'm trying to think of? Like a hoppy lager finish. So it's got a little bit of hops in it. It has that kind of sweet, very distinctly lager flavor, but right at the end. And so it offers like this roller coaster craziness of all these different flavors and kind of things that are going on. It's a very interesting beer, and I think I like it better on my second taste of it. My first taste, and I actually ended up deleting the video because I don't know why. I guess I was feeling charitable. I was like, I hate this beer. It sucks. But nonetheless, my second taste around, actually, I find it to be drinkable. Very interesting and complex but drinkable. Probably not necessarily my favorite beer. Anyway, so it has a nice, like, kind of almost full body to it. It's very has a thickness, but it's also like carbonated in a very crisp way. Yeah, and it's expecting like a medium-high carbonation, but it's almost carbonated in a sparkling way, like you would expect out of a sparkling wine or a champagne, and but interestingly done because it has that quality, but because the beer's like a little thick, it's like, I don't even know, pop rocks. I can't even explain it. Anyway, definitely carbonated. And just a little bit of alcohol warming, and probably more than the style might call for, just because I think we're a little bit higher in alcohol range, but nicely done. It's definitely a drinkable beer. Most commercial examples of this style, and this is an interesting observation, most commercial examples of this style are between 6.5 and 7% ABV. Often they are bottle conditioned, and so you'll see a lot of sediment. And actually, that kind of gives it more of a mouthfeel in that respect. And I feel like I can't really. I want to say that that's probably the case here. That's probably lending. Yeah, I think there's some sediment. And I wish that I could see a little bit more in the can without like dumping it into my glass. But fuck it, let's commit, right? Oh yeah, totally. Oh gosh, I wish I could have done that in a way you would have been able to see. Anyway, there's totally a ton of sediment in here, so that lends to the overall mouthfeel, and like I think also to the complexity of the beer. So it gets, there's definitely a lot of yeast in here, so we're getting that yeasty spiciness, the kind of thickness, creaminess out of this drink. But anyway, I don't hate it. It says it's a handcrafted ale brewed with spices. It's it is their holiday ale. So it has a Belgian yeast strain, caramelized beet sugar. And so, yeah, it really does have that complex sweetness to it. Very interesting. Beet sugar. And festive holiday spices. Expect hints of dark fruit, sweet, cinnamon, apple, and warming finish. So I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to hear that they did add cinnamon or clove or something like that. You know, because it definitely has that kind of a spicy, warming style to it. So anyway, 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 pretty well done beer. I think it's an enjoyable beer, and even more so when I consider it more of a holiday or a winter ale as opposed to a Belgian double, because I feel like it kind of strays away from that category a little bit, but apparently that was their goal. So good job to Lonerider, and I'm excited to try beers from Raleigh, North Carolina. Now I want to know if there are any good beers coming out of South Carolina, where some of my family is living, and so maybe someday I'll have to take a trip out there and check that out. So hey, family members in South Carolina, if you're watching, make a list of things to do. If this is a beer that you have tried, share with me down below what your thoughts were, where you were able to find it in case people are trying to locate it, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great night. Happy holidays.